When criminals forget how to drive, funniest police chases ever. Police chases are supposed to be thrilling. Fast cars, flashing lights, and daring escapes that look like scenes from an action movie. But not every chase ends with a cinematic finish. Sometimes the suspects seem to forget the most basic rule of running from the law, knowing how to drive. What follows are real-life moments where panic, poor judgment, and pure confusion collided, and the results were absolutely hilarious. The first chase takes us to Florida, where officers found themselves trailing a suspect who could have been overtaken by a cyclist. The driver had stolen a delivery van, but apparently forgot how gear shifts worked. Dashcam footage showed the van jerking forward, stopping, then reversing, right into a palm tree. The man then got out, walked around the van as if inspecting the damage, and climbed back in. Police, laughing over the radio, simply followed until he ran out of gas less than a mile later. In California, a similar case of vehicular confusion turned a high-speed pursuit into a slow-motion comedy. The suspect stole a sports car but couldn't figure out how to disable the parking brake. For nearly 15 minutes, he drove with smoke pouring from the tires, while the car crawled along at 20 miles per hour. When he finally pulled over, officers found him staring at the dashboard muttering, "It was faster in the movies." Then there was the unforgettable chase in Oklahoma, when a man tried to escape by stealing a tractor trailer. The problem? He didn't know how to steer one. The dashcam shows the giant truck lurching left and right across the highway as cars pulled over to avoid it. After clipping 2 traffic cones, the man accidentally drove straight into a median and stopped. He then attempted to restart the engine 3 times before realizing the keys had fallen out. Officers found him still buckled in, looking baffled. One of the funniest scenes ever recorded came from Texas, where a driver's great escape ended just 10 seconds after it began. He jumped into a parked car, slammed the accelerator, and launched directly into a ditch 5 feet away. The officers didn't even need to turn on their sirens. The man climbed out of the car, looked around, and asked if he could try again. Even the arresting officer couldn't keep a straight face. In Arizona, police dashcams caught a chase that looked more like a traffic lesson gone wrong. A suspect driving a compact sedan tried to flee by making a U-turn on a 1-lane dirt road. The problem? The car's turning radius wasn't wide enough. The video shows him performing a painfully slow 7-point turn while patrol cars waited patiently behind him. When he finally faced the right direction, he floored the gas and got stuck in sand. The entire chase lasted 45 seconds. Some chases fail not because of driving, but because of gravity. In Georgia, a man in a stolen SUV attempted to jump a small embankment, apparently inspired by action movies. The car lifted off the ground for half a second, then nosedived directly into a bush. The airbags deployed, and the man calmly opened the door and tried to walk away. Officers greeted him with applause before escorting him back to the cruiser. A truly legendary moment came from a small town in Washington state. A suspect trying to avoid a DUI checkpoint made a sharp turn down a boat ramp and drove straight into a lake. The headlights, still shining underwater, created one of the most surreal images ever caught on police video. When officers asked what he was thinking, he said, "I thought it was a bridge." The boaters nearby helped pull him to shore, laughing the entire time. In Illinois, a chase involving a stolen pickup truck became famous for how little ground it covered. The driver attempted to shift gears and drive away, but instead reversed directly into a police car that had just pulled up. The officer inside calmly put his vehicle in park, stepped out, and arrested the man before he could even move forward. Later in court, the suspect said, "I didn't know reverse worked that well. Not every chase happens on a highway." In Louisiana, police were called to a supermarket parking lot where a man was reportedly driving in circles. When they arrived, they discovered he wasn't in a car at all, and he was in a riding lawn mower doing laps around the shopping carts. Officers followed at a walking pace as he waved at pedestrians. The chase ended when he ran out of gas and politely asked for a refill. Meanwhile, in Oregon, one of the strangest pursuits ever recorded began with an empty car. Officers spotted a sedan rolling slowly through a suburban neighborhood, apparently with no driver. When they approached, they discovered the culprit, a golden retriever sitting in the driver's seat. The dog had accidentally shifted the car into gear while waiting for its owner. The car circled the block before rolling safely to a stop. The officers later wrote in their report, "Suspect identified as canine, fully cooperative." In Kentucky, a suspect tried to get creative. When his car got a flat tire mid-chase, he jumped out and stole a golf cart from a nearby course. Officers followed on foot, then switched to their own golf carts. The scene that followed looked more like a slow-motion comedy than a pursuit pursuit. Two carts weaving between sand traps while officers shouted directions. The man eventually gave up, waving his arms and saying, "You got me, coach." Sometimes the funniest moments come from overconfidence. In New Mexico, a driver in a compact car tried to evade officers by turning off his headlights at night, thinking he could disappear into the dark. He forgot one detail. The brake lights were still on. Dashcam footage shows a glowing red beacon moving through an open desert field, perfectly visible the entire time. Officers simply followed the lights until the car got stuck on a cactus. In North Carolina, a man in a minivan turned a simple traffic stop into an unintentional comedy routine. When the officer approached, he rolled up the window, locked the doors, and slowly drifted away. Not speeding, just gliding at 10 miles per hour. The officer jogged beside the van, tapping on the glass, while the driver insisted, "I'm not running." The chase ended at a red light where he finally stopped and rolled the window down, admitting he was just nervous. Nevada provided one of the shortest escapes in police history. A suspect tried to outrun patrol cars by cutting through a gas station. He forgot, however, that there were speed bumps. The dash cam shows the car hitting one, bouncing a foot into the air and blowing out both front tires. The car coasted 10 more feet before stopping completely. The officer's report simply read, "Gravity assisted in the arrest." Then there was the driver in Michigan who pulled off what might be the most unintentionally brilliant move ever. When cornered in a dead-end alley, he jumped out of his car, pretended to be a bystander, and said, "I think he went that way." The officers stared for a moment, then pointed out that his keys were still in the ignition. He shrugged and said, "Worth a try." Alaska offered a chase unlike any other. A man tried to flee across a frozen lake in a pickup truck. For the first few seconds, it actually worked. Then the ice cracked. The video shows the truck sinking slowly as the driver climbs onto the roof, waving for help. Rescue crews saved him moments later, and the officers joked that it was the slowest sinking getaway in state history. Sometimes the chaos isn't about bad driving, it's about no driving at all. In Colorado, officers stopped a car that had been swerving across lanes. When they approached, they discovered the driver wasn't behind the wheel. He had fallen asleep while the car was still in motion, his foot resting on the accelerator. The car had been driving itself, right into a median. He woke up only when the airbags deployed. Utah had its own unforgettable moment when a 5-year-old boy took his parents' car because he wanted to buy a Lamborghini. Officers spotted the SUV drifting across lanes at 30 miles per hour and pulled it over safely. When they walked up to the window, they found the tiny driver sitting on a booster seat barely tall enough to reach the pedals. The story became global news, a harmless but hilarious reminder of how unpredictable real life can be. And finally, back in Florida, one chase ended in a way no one could have predicted. A suspect in a stolen convertible tried to make a dramatic escape by jumping over a drawbridge that was just starting to lift. He didn't make it. The car stalled at the top, balancing perfectly like a seesaw. Officers calmly climbed up, walked across the bridge, and arrested him as he sat there, still revving the engine. These moments prove that not every chase ends with explosions or danger. Sometimes it ends with laughter, disbelief, and a reminder that even in chaos, humanity and comedy find a way. The roads may be unpredictable, but one thing is certain: as long as people keep forgetting how to drive, dashcam footage will never stop entertaining the world.